We've finally made it. It is Jets versus Ravens. It's time to preview. Oh, baby, football's here. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on? I am Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I will be going through my preview and predictions for the New York Jets versus Baltimore Ravens. Oh my God, we finally made it. It's no longer the offseason. Football is here. Tonight, it is the official kickoff. Bills versus Ravens. Bills versus Ravens. Oh my God. Bills versus Rams. Sorry, the art teams threw me off. That's what I'm going to go with. I am amped up for the season, as you should be too. A ton of content coming your way in the next few weeks here and throughout the entire NFL season. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, am I amped up to get into this one. 0-0. The Jets are tied for first place. They don't have a loss on their schedule yet. Times are good for the New York Jets. I love it. We're going to get into so much today. So last year, let's start with their opponent, the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, disappointing season, 8-9. They started off hot, 8-3 start. Injuries completely derailed this team. They lost every running back to ever touch their roster. Just about J.K. Dobbins, done. Gus Edwards, done. And it was just a slew of injuries to this team. Even their young pup wide receiver and Rashad Bateman missed a good chunk of the year last year. So Lamar Jackson only started 12 games. They started off hot. I think they were 8-3, but when he got hurt in the 12th game of the year, I want to say. And then they lost out. They lost 6 straight games, missed the playoffs, but this team, is back, and I think going to be coming for vengeance this year. I think they are going to be an extremely good team. Now, this week, earlier in the week in practice, Ronnie Staley, J.K. Dobbins, and Marcus Peters, 3 obviously very important pieces to this team, were all limited. We're going to keep an eye out on that as it gets closer to game time, obviously, but that is your injuries of note. That is offensive tackle, which a really damn good one in Ronnie Staley too, by the way. Marcus Peters starting outside corner, phenomenal. J.K. Dobbins starting running back. To me, the key for this New York Jets team, the player that I have circled, not named Lamar Jackson, and these two are going to kind of tie together when we're talking about the offense here. Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews scared the life out of me. Last year, Andrews put up 1,300 yards as a tight end. That is phenomenal. And again, he did it with his starting quarterback missing 5+ games. That's really damn good. He is one of the premier tight ends in football. He had 153 targets, 153. Now, I know they traded away Hollywood Brown, and obviously Lamar Jackson wasn't too happy about that. But one, I think Rashad Bateman takes a step forward here. I like him. But number 2, this offense is going to be built around running the football and covering the tight end, which is 2 things the Jets really did not do a great job with last year. And for a really long time, the Jets have struggled when it comes to covering tight ends. It's just the reality of the situation. And with a scrambling quarterback, a lot of people, struggle with scrambling quarterbacks, but the Jets in recent years just haven't really had the personnel for it. The 2 guys who I think need to have a monster day on the defensive side of the ball. It's not the defensive line, while that would obviously really help a lot as if they're getting pressure. But the 2 guys who I think are going to have to be stellar in week 1 in order for the Jets to keep this close and maybe pull off an upset, Quan Alexander, Jordan Whitehead. Both of those guys were not on the team last year. Quan Alexander was actually brought in late, but I think he is by far the Jets' best cover linebacker that they have. C.J. Mosley, that's not his strength. Quincy Williams, that's also not his strength. I think Quan needs to be in this game, needs to play a good chunk of this game, and I think he's going to help with both, keeping an eye on Lamar in the running game and also getting involved in coverage, whether it's a running back out of the backfield or a tight end. And I think obviously Jordan Whitehead is probably who they're going to end up sticking on Mark Andrews. He has the speed to keep up with him. Andrews is a really good route runner and gets open, but I think you stick Whitehead on him and have Quan Alexander and Jordan Whitehead, sneaking around in the run game to come up and make plays at the line of scrimmage. That's both of their bread and butters. It's really what they're best at. So I think those are the two guys to keep a really close eye on. Obviously, Sauce Gardner is going to be someone who is brought up a ton this year. I'm assuming you put him on Rashad Bateman, right? That's the only wide receiver that really gives you any kind of threat. And he was banged up a lot last year, but I think you put him on Bateman. Obviously, DJ Reed, you're hoping he's good to go. He's been banged up in the offseason. And Michael Carter II in the slot. The Jets don't have a ton of depth beyond that. Actually, they have zero depth beyond that in the slot. So it definitely can't have him get hurt. But Sauce Gardner, I expect to, be on their best wide receiver in Rashad Bateman. So I think he's able to shut him down. But really the key to slowing down this Ravens team is Lamar and Mark Andrews. Those two guys are the ones that you have to keep the biggest eye on. And I know that sounds so obvious. I know it probably sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Those two are extreme keys. Now, for this New York Jets team, my question is, will the Jets try to run the ball? Because the Ravens defense was excellent against the run last year. First and third in rushing yards allowed and rushing attempts against. They're a dominant team against the run, and that projects to happen again this year. Loved the draft that they had, by the way. Got a ton of players on the defensive side of the ball. And I know the Jets' identity, they're going to try to run the ball. They have a very good run-blocking offensive line, drafted Breece Hall early, and they have their backup quarterback in. And while Joe Flacco, I think, is going to be fine in managing this game, I don't expect him to be out there throwing 50 times a game. I think it's probably going to be closer in that low 30 range for where he ends up in terms of passing. So are they going to be able to have some sort of success in the run game? Because in the preseason, and now I know it's only the preseason, but they didn't really get that great of a push in the run game. So this is a huge test in week one, right out of the gate, right away against one of the better run defenses in football. I don't want to see this team go 3 and out consistently on offense. You have to take some chances, and I think obviously that Mike LaFleur is going to have to get a little bit creative at times, but I'm curious to see what his game plan is and if they try to just run the ball. Now, Joe Flacco, we mentioned he's going to start. Revenge game for Joe Flacco? Maybe more on that later. But 2-16 in his last 18 starts. Not good, but I will say that when he did play last year, he started against the Miami Dolphins. He looked really good. Over 200 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. I think that's kind of where you want him to be. Again, I don't want him throwing the ball 45, 50 times a game. If you can keep him in that high 20 to low to maybe mid 30 at the absolute cap in terms of passing attempts, I think you're in a good spot. I'll go through with my player predictions. Usually, especially when the Jets had younger quarterbacks over the last few years, I would go through and give my stat predictions for what the quarterbacks are going to do. But in this segment, I'm going to be going through just overall what I think is going to happen with some of the Jets' key guys and 3 guys that I'd like to talk about. Joe Flacco on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to say he goes 19 of 31, so just over 30 passes, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So a very game manager-like performance, which is fine. You probably want that out of Joe. I don't see him going like 250 plus. I don't think he's going to be awful and throw for, under 200. I think a little over 200, and you go, okay, yeah, Joe looked okay. He was fine in this game. Elijah Moore, I will say, has 68 receiving yards, which leads the team. I don't think they have anyone go over 100. I think they're going to spread the ball around a little bit, and he will also have a receiving touchdown. Breece Hall, 14 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. So I have Elijah Moore, Breece Hall as my touchdown scorers. Now, it is time to get into the score prediction and picks against the spread. This part of the show is brought to you by BUSR. Use my link, busr.com/Matt, to get yourself a match deposit bonus. The Ravens are favored by 7 points on BUSR, and they are obviously a very popular pick in knockout pools. I am not going with the Ravens against the spread. I am taking the New York Jets against the spread, getting 7 points. I think this is going to be a close game. I think that it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think the defense keeps it really close. 23-20, 24-20, something like that, 2017, somewhere around there. So maybe keep an eye on the under if that's something that you're interested in as well. But I think the Jets keep it close. Let's go to Casey. We're going to bring back Casey for her picks against the spread as well. We're going head to head. If you're familiar with the show, I bet you know what she went with, but we're going to do it anyway. Ravens -7. Loves the away team, baby. She's just going left. I'm standing in different spots to try to get her to do different things, and she just seems very keen on going to the left. I don't know if we're going to make that just the gimmick again this year, or if we're going to come up with something new for this pick segment, but she is going Ravens -7. I'm Jets +7. By the way, don't have a loss yet in gambling in the regular season. Love that. Now we'll keep track of our records, by the way, throughout the season and see if I could gamble better than my dog. Final score prediction. Do the New York Jets win this game? I'm going to say no. I think I'm going to go final score 24-20. Ravens win, but Jets cover. I think at the end of the day, this team is going to be extremely motivated coming in here in the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, who is probably playing for a contract unless something happens here in the next few hours. He is going to be extremely motivated coming back from the injury. This team, I think, is really, really good. I think they win the AFC North. I think they are absolutely in the conversation for a team to come out of the AFC, representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. They're good, and I think people are sleeping on Lamar a little bit too much. I feel like I'm in the middle on Lamar. I have one camp who's like he's awful. You can't win with that kind of quarterback, and then you have the other who like he's an elite level quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback. I'm not there. I think he's in that 10 to 12 range, which is still really, really good, or maybe like 8 to 12 range. So, very good quarterback. And I think it's going to be a difficult day. But hey, if the Jets are able to keep it close and in it into the fourth quarter, I know we don't like moral victories, but again, really tough matchup. I will be at the game, so we are tailgating with the Jet Lounge. It's myself, Ryan, Green Bean. Jets media is going to be there. So many guys. I know I'm leaving people out. I'm sorry. I don't mean it like that. But that's where we'll be in the pregame, in the parking lot, lot D. Make sure to check out the Jets Lounge website, and you can get your tickets there to the tailgate. And also, we will be sitting with them in the hangar. So if you're going to the hangar, I will be there. I want to do more man on the street content, so please find me in the parking lot. We're going to have a good time. And Jets football is back, baby. I can't wait for this game. I am so excited to be in the building. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Jets pull off the upset. Let me know what you think about this game in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.